is a chance to let Welcome to our live chat series. My name is Stephanie Rivera. I'm a diversity and immigration reporter for the Long Beach Post. And today I'm joined by our newest colleagues, Cristo Niebla and Sebastian Echeverry. Thanks, guys, for joining me. So I wanted to start with, I wanted you guys to introduce yourselves. You guys are our newest colleagues, and you came to us through the Report for America program, which is an initiative of the Ground Truth Project, and they work with several newsrooms across the country to really fill in news deserts, underserved communities, and just, whether it's education, whether it's just, regular community beats, all types of stuff. And I know you've met your peers as well since you started June 1st and even before, I think. So we'll go ahead and start with Cristo. If you can introduce the audience who you are and a little bit of your, reporting background and your beat, please.
Hi, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Cristo Niebla. So I'm going to be covering West Long Beach as part of being an RFA core member. And, we're kind of talking about maybe even expanding a little bit in terms of geography, maybe including the Wilmore area or,
basically those communities just east of the 710 freeway,
Really close. Yes. But mainly I want to focus on the community of West Long Beach. Some of the things that popped out to me are just maybe the air quality, given the proximity to pollution sources. And a little bit about myself, a background. I used to work for Voice Waves, which is a youth-led media outlet here in Long Beach. And I used to be one of the mentors. And I used to also put out multimedia content. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking out. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles and moved over here in 2011 to pursue a college degree at Cal State Long Beach. So I've been living here ever since then.
Thank you, Cristo. And Sebastian, go ahead and let the audience know a little bit about yourself and your beat.
Yeah, of course. So everyone, Sebastian here. I am focusing on the North Long Beach area, and I've adopted Signal Hill as well as a city to cover based on my experience. And that experience is I was the former managing editor for the Signal Tribune newspaper. Before that, I was the production manager for it, and then before that, I was just some beat writer for the council meetings over there in Signal Hill, which, if some of you know, they have their own city council, they have their own police department, so it's a city within a city. The districts to watch is the 9th and the 8th district. I'll be working with Rex Richardson and Al Austin to cover those communities. And the approach I think I want to take for North Long Beach, and I've been communicating with members of the community up there, is just take our high-low type approach in downtown, where we highlight super hyper local businesses and arts and crafts. Just take that approach and move it up to North Long Beach. And there's businesses out there as well that need to be highlighted. And I think people in the community, they're more than just crime stories and things like that. So that's something that I hope to be able to shine a light on those communities, those business owners, those community organizations that work hard up there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
And I think that's important to note that before, every once in a while that any of my colleagues had chances to write about these areas, we're very far and few between, and it was mostly crime stories that would take us over there. So that's why it was very important for us to be able to have these, West Long Beach, North Long Beach coverage areas as well. And I know you've been kind of a month in almost. So what has your experience been like so far, both in the newsroom and out in the community, Cristo?
So far, it's been pretty hard to try to find stories. I really have to dig. And I forgot to mention this, but my beat encompasses Urangas district, which is the 7th district, as well as a little bit from the 1st district, Mary's and Dejas. And it's just, I spoke with Mary, just did a little casual chat, picked her brain about some of the things that she's focusing on. So that was insightful. But I'm also talking with people, on social media, and they're telling me stuff like, we want you to cover food, kind of like the high-low stuff, and we also want you to cover air pollution, affordable housing. Those are some of the things that popped out. But it's a little hard for my area, just given that there's not as much for lack of better words, like not as much investment in that community, or not as many events going on there.
I mean, and then it's just compacted by the fact that the coronavirus, pandemic has just kind of closed down a lot of that. So
usually I could just go, and I have done this in the past. I will just go down the street, say hi to everybody, but everyone has their own levels of precautions and anxieties around the coronavirus. So I really do want to be respectful of that. So it's a lot of little digging that I have to do.
Yeah. And I know, Sebastian, you also put out feelers on social media too, right? What were you hearing from folks?
For the regions that I'm covering and whatnot,
or like suggestions of what they want to see you cover.
Yeah, so I took to social media because although you tend to want to have ideas of the communities you want to cover, there's nothing better than, of course, just hearing it straight from them. I mean, they're the ones that live there and they consume that information. So how as part of the Report for America is like we put the public service back in public service of reporting. So a lot of it was just, if there is crime, if there is instances like that, yeah, sure, that should be reported, of course, but that people feel like the city, the people that live there feel like that part of the city has been kind of left behind. And although I know that the council member has been working to kind of bring businesses to that area, some are struggling with maybe the type of business. Is it too corporate? Is it not corporate enough? And I think just hearing those people out more and trying to understand what is it that they truly want. Mm-hmm. Some other people just want to know more about affordable housing in the region. But the big takeaway I got from that was people really want to know about the businesses in their area. And I think a challenge with it in comparison to, for example, Bixby Knolls in the 8th district, which is a region I used to cover a lot for the Signal Tribune. Their businesses seem to be like, it's almost like in downtown here, there's Pine, right? And all the businesses there, and Bixby Knolls, all the businesses are kind of concentrated. I could be wrong, and I think it's part of learning and growing in that North Long Beach community, but it seems like the businesses are kind of sporadic and spread out. So bringing them together, and there is no one place where you can go and all the coffee shops are here, all the food shops are here. That's what I'm starting to see. Obviously, I need to talk to more people and figure that out, but highlighting those scattered businesses in North Long Beach that the people maybe didn't even know about, and say, oh cool, I'll go check that place out next time, or an artist that works up there that's making murals or art pieces, and who is that person? Oh, they live in North Long Beach. So those are some of the feelers, and then going back to your question about we're almost like a month in now, and how that's been adapting. Well, Crystal, you were on the ground on Sunday, May 31st, and we know that was a very active moment, not only here in Long Beach, but an active moment all over the nation. So that was a baptism by fire for us, because we went straight into, because then I started on Monday, which the conversation the conversation at the beginning of the day was cleaning up after, some businesses were looted and whatnot, but since then, it hasn't stopped. It's been going 100 miles per hour. And with coronavirus and the civil unrest, covering those instances while trying to balance the North Long Beach, the West Long Beach coverage, it's challenging, but it's what we're here to do. And that's what Report for America has kind of helped us and prepared us to do.
And I want to remind readers that if they want to ask you any questions, go ahead and put in the comments section, or if you have any story suggestions too, we'll be able to take a look at the live chat afterwards and see what you guys are suggesting for business or story ideas as well. So want to make sure we put that out there. But that also reminded me, I kind of wanted to hear from you guys, like, what was your experience going into the newsroom first day? What were you scared of? What were you excited, or what surprised you? Crystal, if you want to start.
I'm just not trying to get the Rona, that was the anxiety that I was feeling, just because I had been quarantined for weeks since, I would say, March 16th. That was before I was still working at that time at previous job. So I was just trying. I just was like, these reporters are, other reporters are also out there talking to people still. So I just hope that, I don't get it either from them or like talking to people as well, like once I started. And technically my first day was June 1st, because I was contracted as a freelancer on technically on the 31st, where everything all the protests happened, and it was crazy. And I was definitely feeling that that anxiety, just being surrounded by hundreds of people. And
the good thing is you tested this
I
week.
tested negative. So everybody go get tested if you can. And afterwards, yeah, like, we've all been doing protest covering. But right now I'm working on some COVID-19 coverage. But I do want to, not get distracted too much and really focus on West Long Beach as well. But for me, in that sense, I've just been establishing relationships throughout this week. Not really. I've only really come out with like one story, and it was the one on the Centro Cha doing a census awareness caravan in West Long Beach. So and that was good. It was. I saw that there was people came out, and it's a nonpartisan, bipartisan thing,
Yeah.
So it was cool seeing people out there, because I never see gatherings in West Long Beach either. So yeah, I'm just working on that. I'm working on developing stories. They're going to be more feature stories as well, profiles, but yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yay. And I think we have a first question about if we know of any small Black businesses and restaurants that exist in North and West Long Beach. Sebastian, I think that's a good segue. You did do another video story as well based on that business, if you want to share a little bit about that too.
Yeah, it was a really fun story to cover. I worked with Thomas Cordova on that story. He handled like the visual aspect of it, and I handled the writing part of it. But basically, what I did is I got in contact with the business, like the head organizer of the businesses up there. I'm blanking on the official title.
The business association.
Yeah, Tasha Hunter, and we spoke for a while. She gave me some tips on some new businesses joining the area, and she mentioned that there's a new skate shop that's just coming into town. And she gave me the address. It's going through a name change. So, but I think as a publication of that story till this chat today, it's called Iconic with a K, Iconic Customs. And it's a skate shop, just opened up, and there might be someone you might want to talk to. And I did. I went to the location, and the owner's Lena Dirt. And just the story of how a community morphed what the custom it started out as a custom t-shirt shop right across the street from Halton Park, where the skate park is there. Mm-hmm. And originally it was just custom t-shirts, custom designs, and the skaters that actually frequent the park would stop by and they said, hey, do you happen to sell like stickers, like those skate brand stickers? And she's like, yeah, I can get that for you. And she got those. And then little by little they started asking, do you have wheels by any chance for skateboards? Do you have grip tape? Do you have trucks? And then before you know it, and she would provide all these things for the kids. And before you know it, it's a full blown skate shop, and it's a little hole in the wall shop. It is Black owned. Lena Dare was very, very welcoming into her store. It was a pleasure to meet her. I believe it's either her mom or her grandmother. They call her Nana. Even the kids who frequent the store call her, "Hey Nana, how's it going?" And that was just a great first step into understanding some of the businesses that probably no one knew about. And it was, I think the headline is, it's supported by niche support, and it's true. The skaters that visited the park are the ones that kind of kept it going when COVID really hit, and we were in the deep months of the isolation. So like March and all that. She told us that some sort of local musician, I think, kind of collected donations through his music, and they just gave it back to her as a donation here for whatever you need for COVID survival, basically. And it's things like that that kind of kept her going with her store, and I think it was a great story to highlight at the time.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's what it's all about, right? Just going in there and finding those stories. And then the great thing is you guys are both, you guys are multimedia journalists, so you guys can take your own photos and videos and it really just show it in so many different ways. It's not just written stories, right? And so I'm excited about that. I know. So I wanted to go back more into like Report for America. This is a program that allowed us, it's a partnership with, I think, over 160 newsrooms throughout the country. We were fortunate enough to be chosen and, have you both here with us. What, I know you're providing getting mentorship from us on this side, but how does it look on the Report for America side? What, I know you guys have some trainings and stuff, like what's that about? How's that been for you guys? Crystal.
Well, yesterday we had a day-long Zoom call. Some professionals, veteran journalists mentoring us about how we can work with our beat. And our beat is a location, but I think it, at least for me, it's a beat that's West Long Beach, but also communities of color and how to approach that. So I thought it was really insightful. Our facilitator was, I believe his name was John X. Miller, and he's a very accomplished journalist, and he was really woke about what kind of angles we need to take, what kind of context we need to include, especially when it comes to covering the Black Lives Matter movement, not just covering a protest as it is in that moment, but also providing why people are protesting in the first place. So things like that. So I thought that was really insightful. He was just sharing resources, and we did a story pitching session on what we can, how we can apply what we learned to our community. So I got some stuff cooking up. Stay tuned.
And there are going to be a couple more trainings after this too, or like touching base?
Yes.
Okay. And it's a whole shift too. I want to, let our audience know, like, if it was pre-pandemic, I think you guys would have been able to go for like a week out of state and, get to meet your peers and everything. So you guys have been very, going with the flow of just Zoom everything,
It's like over 100 people on the Zoom call.
Wow. That's amazing.
A lot.
Sebastian, how about you?
Yeah, well, piggybacking off of that, it's I remember when we did our first orientation, Wednesday of last week, I believe. Yeah, I don't think I've seen a Zoom meeting with that many squares. It was like over 200 people, because not only was it the members that are, in newsrooms nationwide, it was the advisors as well, the coordinators of the Ground Truth Project, and the members who focus on the initiative RFA, Report for America. And I think just to start, it's always a nice refresher to know that they call us core members and like a family. Crystal and I are like the bridge between us and newsrooms nationwide. We have people covering topics in Appalachia. We have journalists embedded in Native American communities throughout areas of the country that are true news deserts. I like to say that this region has a lot of coverage in some regions, and that's why we're here, because there's still some communities that need that light, but there's other places that just have nothing. So sometimes they're one person bureaus out in the middle of nowhere, and with COVID going on, they share their experiences that they kind of have to work a lot from home, and it's a challenge when you want to get to know the community, but the community is being asked to stay indoors. So that's, and I think sometimes we can resonate with that challenge too. Our training was great. So my training was yesterday. We talked about accountability and building trust in communities. Our the person leading the training was Moni Bazu. I believe that's her name. Moni Bazu. Yeah, she's extremely experienced and had a lot of great tips. She worked with CNN. She was covered the Iraq wars, and she gave us great tips on building trust in communities, how to find story ideas, where to go to when you need to get that first source that eventually will lead you to other sources and whatnot. So, and it's like I said, it's always a great refresher to be able to sit down in a meeting and it's unfortunate that it's Zoom. We would have been in Texas, I believe, during this conference, but hearing stories and experiences from other reporters that are part of our core family, but they're like in North Dakota, or it's really refreshing.
Yeah. And then another part that we're excited about too is that, there's a community service project component of it as well. And it's, that just shows, not just community service to your reporting, but also giving back in, project ways. So I know you guys were talking about a little bit of collaborating in a way, but with serving within your beat areas. So if you guys want to talk a little bit about that, Crystal, what were some of the ideas that you'd like to see?
Sure. So in terms of the collaboration, maybe how I would see that is we're sharing curriculum, but we would have like maybe separate projects with whatever site or institution we're working with. So the idea that I have is I'm hoping to connect with the school in West Long Beach, and I want to hold a gallery, and I want to really, because I just based off of what I learned through my work at Voice Waves and working with high schoolers, the creativity and the art really,
resonates with folks.
Really resonates and really attracts people. I mean, it's for regular people too, I would say, not just youth. And I think it's fun, and I want it to be a very multimedia, very interactive gallery where youth can interview people on a particular topic, and you have audio stories and art as well. So hopefully with
like
this,
telling their own stories like that, you mean?
it can be their own stories or them interviewing someone else about a particular topic. And yeah, I just really wanted to be interactive, very artsy, but also objective. And I want them to take away some skills, because I would be teaching them how to record audio or do video or photography. So yeah.
Nice. How about you, Sebastian?
Yeah, so the fantastic part is I think we can work together. So I don't know if we'll be working like directly together, but with her focus on West Long Beach, my focus would be similar, but through a different medium in North Long Beach. So although it's not set in stone yet, we are going to have some conversations with our RFA people to set this in stone. But the community service project I think I want to help out in is the creation of zines. Zine.
I know.
Zine. The creation of zines by high school students, and help facilitate that process and kind of be a mentor there. My experience with the Signal Tribune, I had to kind of lay out the newspaper, so I worked a lot with InDesign and layout. So I feel like I can take that skill and kind of help out high school students who are very creative, and some of them might teach me things I don't even know, and facilitate that and be that mentor for them in North Long Beach with a school up there. So I have to find out which school that will be, but I'm sure I'll be in contact soon with some, and that's what I plan to do with my community service project.
And we'll get more details on that, and hopefully if there's any teachers in Western North Long Beach who can help connect, we're definitely going to be reaching out to them, because I think that's an awesome project too. Anything that helps empower students and add new news literacy skills is always going to be a plus for all journalists, really. I know we have a question about if we have anyone covering the Anaheim corridor in Cambodia Town. It's not in her beat, but Crystal, one of your first stories that first week was about Cambodia Town and how it was looted. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that was?
Well, honestly, it was really sad. That day I was led by Monoro Net. He's one of the community leaders there, and me and our visuals editor Thomas Cardova were just walking around Cambodia town, talking to business owners and just hearing what happened and how they feel about it. Some of them were showing us pictures or videos of the night of the looting, and it was really hard and to see them kind of relive that. And that's something that I also want to be really conscious and sensitive about when I am reporting about traumatic experiences like that. So it was really sad. I'll be honest. I cried when I got home, because that's one thing I one of my weaknesses, but some other people say might not be a weakness. Just to feel what people feel. I have covered the Cambodian community in the past during my time at Voiceways as well. So I feel like I've also have established that trust in that community as well, and I really hope to be at that level with West Long Beach as well, and really try to establish relationships and trust, because I think it's also important for people to trust media. I feel like we're kind of just mistrusted everywhere sometimes, and I really want to build that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the Cambodian community is a really I think can be a really underrepresented community as well. So I whenever there's a story in Cambodia town, I'm more than happy to cover that as well.
And that's something I wanted to let our readers know too. We have our beats, we have our areas, but if there's any need or anything that is somewhere else, we're covering that too. So that's something that I can focus on too. I have been focusing more like in the last few years, more like the political side, because there has been like a political awakening within the Cambodia town and the Cambodian community, and that's been very fascinating to follow. So I'd say more of my what happened.
The redistricting?
Yeah, the redistricting commission, and just like them, galvanizing and becoming voters, and just in all of these even with like delegates, like very like obscure type of political races and whatnot, or elections. So that's been my focus, because I am the diversity and immigration reporter, but having you guys help me has been tremendous, because it's a lot for me to cover on my own. So that hopefully will allow me to focus on the central part of Long Beach, which is also very diverse too, while you guys kind of focus on west and north. So, we're together working on all of it. We just have that emphasis on those specific areas too. But I see 30 minutes are almost up already. So I did want to let our readers know too that this is that your positions are grant funded. Half of it's funded by the Report for America initiative. The other one's local philanthropic organizations who have given. But if readers feel inclined to give as well, I do ask that you go to lbpost.com/support, and you can donate to Crystal and Sebastian's efforts. Before I close out, is there anything you guys want to say to the audience?
I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking the time to try to get to know us, and I want to get to know you.
Awesome.
I think I just want to reiterate that message of, thanks so much. The Report for America initiative is grant funded, and newsrooms everywhere are hurting to kind of keep reporters around. So to be in this newsroom with the people here is a blessing. It's super amazing. So I hope to do the best job I can do, and I'll do that with the support of the audience. So thank you for tuning in.
Hey, all right. Well, that's it for today. We'll be having our replay in a little bit, so you can see it if you missed it. Thanks for joining us.